We've all been in that moment where we just said something so stupid. We're trying to impress people. We want them to think we're competent, but inevitably we're human and we say stupid things. Welcome to the Self-Leadership Experiment, where we take an evidence-based perspective on all things organizational behavior. My name is Scott Dust. I'm a management professor, as well as a team member for an HR tech company. I'll be talking with my co-host, Louis DiCarlo, and we'll break down what's real and what's not, and what works and what doesn't work. Thanks for joining the conversation. So the topic of the day, did I really just say that? We've all been in that moment where we just said something so stupid. And we're in this professional setting, right? We're trying to impress people. We want them to think we're competent, but inevitably we're human and we say stupid things. So I remember this one instance in particular where I made a serious gaffe, and it was a very formal meeting, and there was over 20 people in the meeting, and I was the youngest one. And so, everyone else is more experienced and older and wiser. And it was just so stupid that for the next 5 minutes, I was the source of an outrageous amount of laughter. And that was, almost a decade ago. And I can really still go back to that moment. And I'm still tormented by it, even if I go back in time and start thinking about it. I just couldn't think of any way to recover. I couldn't think of anything witty or self-deprecating to kind of smooth it over. But really, the reality, though, is that no one in that meeting remembers, because I've actually asked. To them, it was just something to laugh about. And it actually, interestingly enough, made that meeting, at least that 5 minutes, halfway entertaining. And it just made me realize that, we're all human. We say stupid things, and that we have to stop ruminating, and we just have to kind of move on, because the reality is that no one really cares all that much. They're just moving on to something else.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, at some point in anyone's career, you're going to say something stupid in a meeting in front of someone. You're going to embarrass yourself at one point or another. But I think a lot of that has to do with like the culture that you're in, right?
Yeah. Hopefully
you're in a culture where it's safe, or it's okay to say something stupid sometimes.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're not mocked. Hopefully you're not necessarily laughed at, but laughed with, and thankfully at your expense, you gave someone a good time, right?
Yeah. And I think like you can almost in a way show a sense of like professionalism and competence in the way that you recover from it. Because if you say something like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that, and you like visibly are just making it worse, then that's not good, right? Like, so your recovery to some degree is just to be professional and move on and do your best. But I also think that you bring up an important point about what do you do if someone else does it as well? I hadn't thought through that angle yet, right? I think it actually can show a lot of professionalism about you, or say a lot about, or maybe even influence your culture in a positive direction if you help the person that, made the gaffe or said something, maybe in front of a client, or, they're a rookie and they just, said something silly.
Yeah, you got to read the room, right? Who said it? Are you able to joke back and forth with them?
Mm-hmm.
And are they going to laugh back with you, or their feelings be hurt? Kind of look at it through the lens of, if it were me, how would I treat that person, right? Some people are very sensitive. They'll be embarrassed, and you really shouldn't joke about it with them, right? You kind of just act like it didn't happen and move on, right? You kind of have to make that call, and hopefully the rest of the room follows suit, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I mean, like you said, no one remembers what you did 10 years ago but you.
That's right.
Generally our own worst critics.
Mm-hmm.
We remember what we do more than what anyone else does.
Yeah.
So keep calm, carry on, right?
That's right. Move on. Nobody's going to remember in a week, maybe not even a day, right? It doesn't really matter.
Or not even in 2 minutes.
Yeah, probably. And this reminds me of another post that I think we eventually get to about humor, right? Like if you see somebody do something wrong and you're trying to infuse humor into the situation, we always have to remember that you never targeted at the person, right? Like humor, it's not funny when it's actually bullying, or, even remotely close to that word of bullying, right? Like, so, infuse some humor into the situation and help people move on. And more often than not, everybody will be just fine. We got to stop ruminating and get over it.
Exactly. We shouldn't expect everybody to be perfect all the time. In fact, I would think that places with good, healthy, safe cultures would do just the opposite, right? Anytime somebody makes a mistake, whether it's in front of a group of one or two, or or 20 or 50, right? I mean,
Right.
we're all human.
That's right. Very good.
Show our vulnerabilities.
Yep. It's humanizing. That's a good way to think of it. Very good. All right. Thanks everybody for joining. For more resources, feel free to jump over to scottdust.com, where you can subscribe to the monthly newsletter, as well as find additional evidence-based insight through YouTube, podcasts, and social media. Thank you.